everybody, and welcome to the In the Numbers podcast. I am your host, Jarvez Hall, director of the East Metro STEAM Partnership. We are excited to start a new season of the podcast, season 2. This is our first year that we're having the video podcast to go along with the audio. So we are very, very pumped up. And today, our number of the day is, because we are in the numbers, our number of the day is 120,339. That is the number of the day because that is the average salary, average base salary of a data scientist in the Portland metropolitan area. And why do we bring that up? Because we are excited to have a special guest for you all today. And I want everyone to give him a big round of applause as I bring him in. We're going to go to the gallery view here and take off my pen. Gotta love the technology. We are getting to it. So I'm excited to have the illustrious. You have to make sure you use the term illustrious here. We are excited to have the illustrious Dr. Jameson Watts of Willamette University. Give him a big round of applause. The executive director and chair of computing and data science programs, and is an associate professor of marketing and data science. Give him a big round of applause. Dr. Watts, we are excited to have you here, and thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you, Jarvez. Yes, I have perhaps a few too many titles at this stage in my career.
That's the cool part about academia. They don't always give you more money, but they can definitely give you more titles. That's one thing that we know for a fact.
Yeah, so that number, the salary, right, of data scientists in the Portland metro area, we are basically training folks to make more money than I do.
Man, you're making me want to think about a career change over here. A little bit before we go forward, Dr. Watts and I go way back. We both actually got our MBAs from Willamette way back in 2007. So we're MBA 07. That is it didn't seem like that long ago when we got it, but when you start counting the years back, it's like, man, that was a few years ago.
Well, yeah, and I think we need to address some things, Jarvez.
Okay. Well, the In the Numbers podcast is where we go to address things. So let's just lay it all on the table.
So I think we need to be, forthright with our audience here. You and I not only did the MBA together, but we also celebrated at the end of the semester together on a few occasions. And so you and I, let's say we shared it.
Let me find the mute button really quick. For the record, that was research. That was research that we were doing.
I think you owe me a speaker, by the way.
Oh, there was some fun time. That's one thing I always appreciate about you. You were the best host at the time. I think I was they called him a U-rep. So I was kind of a RA for one of the frat houses were actually on the campus. I think that was a unique situation to Willamette, is that all their fraternities and sororities were actually owned by the school and on campus. And so I was on campus, so that, not like I could host anything, but you had the nice house. And so the celebrations were always more festive at your place. That's one thing you learn in business school is how to network is what we call it. We call it networking.
Right. So this show is about numbers, right? So if a typical party at my house was an 8, when Jarvez showed up, it went to about an 11, I would say.
Now he did some in-depth data analysis on this to really make sure that that he got those numbers worked out. We had some good times to say the least. I was thinking about some of those times. I think I was chatting with I know you remember Sudeep and a couple
Oh
other
yeah.
folks. Yeah, we had some. We were talking about some of those times. Yeah, you're definitely the best host for
Oh,
sure.
what? Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, Jason Feynman, Jamie Truler, like who else was in that crew? My goodness. They're
Oh
still
man,
around.
Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon, they're still around.
Oh man, we have yeah, but they're gonna get mad if we name too many names out here. You know, they're all everybody's all professional now. We have these cool job titles, and you know, some folks have dispersed around the country or even across the globe, and you know, they have wives or spouses and kids and partners, and they don't know about those fun times at business school. But we definitely had some good times. Good times were definitely had. And now, you know, that you're done partying, now you're partying with data, and you're doing some really cool things with data science. So tell us a little bit about this, because this is a relatively new program at Willamette, really around data science, and I don't think as many people know about it. I know growing up, I knew about, of course, the school, the undergrad, and then the law school, and then the MBA program. And I don't think the teaching school is there anymore. Is it?
No, the teaching school is definitely not there.
Yeah. So
But we're in the process. Sorry, I'm pulling up a couple of references. We're definitely in the process of building some new things at the university, and computing and data science is one area that we're really trying to focus on. And part of the reason is exactly what you said. Demand is just massive for these kinds of jobs. We've got more job openings, more open positions in computing and data science than there are filled positions in every other STEM field combined.
wow.
Yeah.
But say that one more time, because I think folks need to hear that in the back that may just be turning in late.
Yeah, there are more open positions, more job openings, unfilled jobs, right? Then there are filled jobs, right? People who already have employment in every single other STEM field combined. So all the sciences, all the maths, everything. The demand is absolutely huge. And it's a real challenge to train up the future workforce to fill these jobs, and so that's the role that we're trying to fill here at the university.
Wow, that is, man, that is amazing. There is, wow. When you know, a lot of our work is we try to really push folks to think about STEM as an economic development measure, and to think about how are we making sure that we have the workforce trained to compete for high wage and living wage positions. And that's in no way to discount any low wage work. I think sometimes people look at it as discrediting low wage work. You need that type of work as well, but we want to make sure that people have options. And when you see that, that's why I was just interested looking at the data from Glassdoor, and really taking a peek at looking at the average base salary is $120,339 a year, and that's on average. And that's just base salary. That doesn't even count additional cash compensation that they have, that they say could range anywhere from an additional 3,500 to an additional 60,000, depending on what you have going on. and even some of the other jobs that are related to data scientists. The data analyst in Portland, the average starting salary is just over $69,000. For a quantitative analysis, the average is about 115,000 a year. So just some of those really cool things, and seeing some of the employers, your Intels, your Nikes, your ComScore, Amazon, PGE, Adidas, all these big players, Apple, Facebook, HP, Chipotle, Tech Systems, all of these folks have data science and data analysis positions, open right now as you're talking about that.
And I don't want folks to think it's only the big companies.
Oh no.
So data science is big tent, and one of the reasons I like it so much is because it has so much breadth. And so I encourage you to just go to LinkedIn Jobs and type in the keyword data and see what comes up. But the types of companies that are hiring are vast. So I have friends in state government here, in Salem. We're right across the street from the Capitol. They are doing data science for foster care. So they're using machine learning models, right, to help the state successfully place children into foster care, right? I've got another friend who is using data science to help address salmon shortages in the Columbia River. So he's also on a state contract, and he's got sensors attached to seals, and seals are the main predators for salmon. And so he's using data science to track movement of the seals around the Columbia River mouth in order to help predict salmon runs going up and down the Columbia and Willamette. You can, of course, right, use data science to help Nike sell shoes. Plenty of openings there. But the field is vast and broad and expanding. Literally every single company out there is trying to figure out what to do with the masses of data that are showing up on their doorstep every day. 90% of all of the world's data, 90% was created in the last 2 years.
Wow. That, man, big data is a real thing. Like this is crazy. And to think how much of that data is yet to be turned into intelligence.
Yeah, that's the main opportunity, right? And it doesn't have to be fancy, really complicated machine learning models, right? There's a huge amount of value just in learning how to ingest, wrangle, visualize, and explain what's going on. And those are kind of the early things that you learn in a data science curriculum. And in truth, it's also what you end up doing about 95% of the time in your job as an analyst or data scientist. Machine learning is kind of where artificial intelligence is the kind of buzzword, the hot topic at the moment. And of course, we teach that, you have to learn about it. But the truth is, modeling is only maybe 3 or 4% of your day. 95% of your day is spent either kind of wrangling data. In other words, imagine you're at a rodeo and you're trying to kind of lasso some like wily, cow or steer. I don't know. I didn't grow up on a ranch. It's probably a bad analogy, right? But the technical term is actually data wrangling, and it's a matter of just taking the massive amounts of data and turning it into something that you can make sense of within an organization. So you're spending a huge amount of time on that. That involves, working and manipulating data and visualizing the data. The other part of your day is spent communicating. So folks don't actually realize this, but the folks who get ahead in these careers are those who understand humans, human needs, human problems, and are good at communicating how what they're finding in the data actually applies to and impacts their organization and the problems that organization is trying to provide. In the capstone class this summer that I taught, I had about 7 experts from industry come in and speak. I did not prompt any of them to say this, but every single one of them, without fail, said that if you want to excel in this career, focus on communication.
Mm. You know what? Hold on to that for a moment, because we always like to have, and I hate the term soft skills, but there's always so much of that. I know that means so much. It's really I prefer emotional intelligence versus kind of the soft skills one, because it makes it seem like there's these hard skills and all these soft skills. These are really soft. No, these are important skills. But hold on to that just one moment. And we're in the Numbers podcast is sponsored by the East Metro STEAM Partnership. We are excited for EMSP to sponsor this particular episode. They sponsored some episodes in the past, and we are excited for them to be back. They wanted to announce that our partner meeting for the East Metro STEAM Partnership is going to be October 6th at 1 p.m. It's Wednesday, October 6th at 1 p.m. And you are welcome to go to the website, eastmetrosteam.org, to learn more about the East Metro STEAM Partnership, whose mission is to develop and align resources through collaborative partnerships to support STEAM initiatives, and whose vision is an East Metro community where youth and adults have equitable access and are engaged in STEM learning that results in a skilled workforce and increased economic opportunity. Please feel free to go to eastmetrosteam.org, join the mailing list, and feel free to click on the event for October 6th, join our partner meeting to learn more. So thank you very much for East Metro STEAM Partnership for making sure that they are sponsoring this podcast. So back to Dr. Watts. And so if you could just for a quick moment, just kind of talk about like the curriculum and the program and what it kind of builds towards. I think one thing that scares people, I think when I hear data scientist, it sounds like really cool, but to a lot of people, it scares them because the first thing they think of is scientists. So like science, that's kind of scary. And then data, that must mean is math and numbers. And, I'm scared of math and numbers, or, I wasn't good at math in high school, or, I didn't get I don't know what the SATs are now. They might have changed. I didn't get an 800 on the math section of the SATs, so I can't be in this field. What would you say to them, and what does your curriculum look to build on as folks enter the program?
So I haven't told too many people this, Jarvis, but I did not do very well in math in high school. I was not a kind of star student. I dropped out of calculus. I really didn't excel in kind of the algebra classes or geometry or trigonometry. And to be perfectly honest, the way that the math curriculum was taught, at least to me in high school, just didn't really fit with how my brain works. And it wasn't until I got to college and was introduced to math in a slightly different way that I started to realize that I could do it, and that not only could I do it, but it enabled me to be creative and powerful in ways that I didn't know that I could. And so what I would say is, first of all, our high school math curriculum is broken. We don't do a good job of emphasizing the things that we should be emphasizing in high school to make sure that our students are getting excited about math in the right way. The main thing here is I think an overemphasis on geometry and calculus. Algebra is important. I'm not sure it's taught incredibly well at the moment, but algebra is important. But more than anything, data fluency and statistics are the areas that are not being taught in high volume in our high schools. And yet those are the areas that have the greatest impact on all of these wonderful jobs that you and I are talking about. And yes, you have to kind of get comfortable with numbers and data, but it's different than solving math problems, right? Like, you're not just kind of sitting there and, you know, trying to work out the solution to some, you know, complicated, you know, set of equations or something like that. The great thing about data and statistics are that you're dealing with real problems around you, because data is not abstract in the way that most math is abstract. Data is like, I mean, it's here, it's in front of us, it's being generated by us, right? So it's a real world approach to learning about math. And what that means is that you get to actually apply stuff, right? So you can look at things like, how many times did, you know, Ashton Kutcher tweet about this particular thing, and how did that lead to, you know, growth in this product, right? I don't know. Are we going back too far in our references? We were having a conversation about like
Well,
90s references.
Well, you know,
What's
Ashton
what's
Kutcher is
a
still
Twitter
a little
reference?
relevant. He's still a little relevant today. If you, I think now you would have to talk more TikTok. You would have to talk like.
I have no idea who the TikTok stars are now.
You would have to
Who's
talk
there?
like Charlie D'Amelio, or you know, of course, any of the Kardashians are up there. You would have to talk any of, oh, who's the new one? I forgot her name. But there's a few of them that are kind of the it ones right now that you would have to talk. But I do think that's interesting because, and that's one thing I've appreciated about social media, is that social media has given us a way to talk data analytics with young people in a way that they might not have been able to connect with before. You know, even my 9-year-old can see how many likes something gets, you know, and to see whether or not something is trending or not. But now we can have a conversation to talk about algorithms and what stuff gets put up in front and what stuff doesn't. We can have that talk from a data design piece to say, okay, how do we know what to put up that will actually get seen by more people? We can have those conversations now and talk about those numbers and analytics with things around social media that actually get young people excited. And so those are the things that I try to have conversations with our youth advisory council on, is if we are going to make an impact, we need to use data to understand how we can make the greatest impact when we don't maybe have a large number of people. You know, how can we get a message out there? How can we talk to folks about X, Y, or Z? If we want to raise awareness about conservation efforts that are specific to East Monona County, you know, then how do we make somebody understand what the impact of the Columbia Slough is on our area versus someone who might be in Lane County who's like, I don't have to deal with the Columbia, so why do I have to worry about it? So thinking about those types of things as well as helping them understand when you understand analytics, you also understand the business behind a particular industry, particular area, and you understand how that works. But you really, it's really about understanding more than anything. It's like you have questions in life, but then you get some understanding, which I think is fantastic.
It is. So, I mean, I think that like, and folks are starting at the high school level to realize that this is a more powerful way of delivering math understanding. What I would say also, in addition to just the understanding, is that this is fundamentally about power, in my view. So the job openings, right? The salary, money's nice, right? It's fine. Like we all like a good salary, right? We all like to be rewarded for the job that we're doing. But what's really going on there is that there's incredibly high demand for this knowledge and talent. What does that mean? That means that the folks who have this knowledge and talent have tremendous amount of power. And it's the kind of power that you can acquire as a young person that almost no other field gives you. Right? Think about like political power, right? Like corporate power. You have to be middle-aged people like you and me. I'm sorry, we're middle-aged now, Jarvis.
Yeah. Hey, some days I feel in the old age. My age may be middle, but these knees and this back, they might have had a past life or something. But I definitely understand what you're saying there. It takes some time to realize that and admit to it. And it makes it difficult because when folks get to our age, you start thinking, hey, maybe this is my time. And then you start seeing the young people come up and it's like, hey, maybe they need to slow down and wait their turn, because I had to go through, X, Y, or Z. Now, in my role, I'm trying to uplift young people. So, hey, if they want to take over my job, knock themselves out. But
well,
you do
it's
get a
because
lot
all
of
the
that.
baby boomers won't retire, but that's maybe a separate podcast that we can talk
Oh,
about.
that is a separate issue for sure. Hey, one thing I'll tell you is, and of course, we talk about finances a bit. There's some folks who love what they do, and I grant you, and I love what I do as well. But once I hit the retire number mark, I'm out. Like it's peace. I'm living off. I think one of our other classmates from Atkinson back in the day at Willamette, he actually quit his job and was living off of his investments. He invested in some property. I think you remember John, and they invested in properties, and that's his. He gets to do whatever he wants to do because he manages his properties, and all the stuff grew, and he made those investments at a very good time, and they all paid off. So,
so think about that, right? When you make investments early, right, then maybe you get to retire early. One of the ways that you actually have anything to invest, capital or otherwise, is to actually be in a position to have kind of high earning power early in your career. Right. Sure. And one of the, there is no other way to do it that I can see. I mean, maybe certain Wall Street jobs, you can do it, but for the most part, right, computing and data science are the option that you have, to go attain this kind of power, attain this freedom, attain this kind of mobility in ways that nobody else gets, right? Really, nobody else gets. And so for me, it's even beyond just, I love seeing my students, be in demand. I honestly feel we have a moral imperative to do this. So,
and I'm with you. And what people don't understand, even about the jobs in finance and Wall Street, people think, oh, I'll go get a finance degree, then I work on Wall Street and make a lot of money. No, those folks make money because they know other rich people,
Right.
and they can bring those clients in, and then they can get a piece of those things on commission. This, what is really cool about data science is you can be poor. You can be from a low income family. If you have the knowledge, you have the degrees, you can get into these fields. If I want to work on Wall Street, it's about who do I know, what
Yep.
school did I go to,
Yep.
and whose ring did I kiss to be able to get into something. There's so many of these data scientist roles where they're just like they're starved for folks who have the knowledge. If you know how to do this, they want you.
They do.
And you have an opportunity.
And to be perfectly honest, Jarvis, schools like Willamette have not really fulfilled this promise. And so if you look carefully at the data, yeah, we've got this data that suggests, okay, the expensive private school education ends up paying off, down the line. The truth is, it only pays off down the line for two groups of folks. One, folks who are already wealthy and well-connected coming into the private school, right? Or two, folks who happen to get some sort of technical training while they're in the liberal arts organization. Students from disadvantaged backgrounds that come in and spend $45,000 a year or less if they're on some sort of scholarship. Even then, they come out with $80,000 in debt and a philosophy degree. They do not actually end up better off down the line than community college, state schools, etc. It's a false promise. This program, right, is about fixing that. It's about basically saying, look, this is actually a reliable pathway if you come from a historically disadvantaged background, if you're first generation, right? If you don't feel like you fit into these other things. This actually works and it's reliable. I don't know, to me, more than anything, this is like the most important thing that we're doing at the university.
Well, and of course, he is not just saying that because it's his program, but it's really saying that. And one, I think you definitely believe that. And I think it's one that I am subscribing to as well. I think it is fantastic. And I threw out that number, which of course, again, our number of the day, I kind of feel like, we were, dating ourselves earlier. Whenever I say 120,339, it's supposed to be like Pee Wee Herman, and number of the day, and the horns and stuff goes off and confetti drops from the ceiling and things like that every time someone says it. But that's dating myself a bit.
It's another like 90s reference that no one besides you and me is gonna get. But
I'm telling you now, the great part is the teachers, the educators, the professionals listen to this, they'll know exactly what's up. When the students listen to it, they're like, Pee Wee Herman, what are you talking about? I'm like, hey, Pee Wee's Playhouse was cool. That's what you watch. There's just certain things that you did. And what I really appreciated that was looking at this, especially from an equity standpoint. And that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure we talk to you is because often the students we represent in East Bonilla County, one of the most diverse areas of the state, oftentimes it starts with people telling them, hey, you're not good at math. Or hey, you don't understand that. Or hey, go into this thing. It's a little bit easier. And it doesn't stop in high school. I once had a high school counselor who told me I'd never go to a 4-year college. And part of that was they looked at my grades and was like, oh, your grades are terrible, which they were. But they didn't look at the student, the person, and understand who I was as a young man at the time, nor what I was going through in my life. At the time, my mother was ill and she ended up passing away when I was a junior in high school from sickle cell anemia. Hashtag September Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Check out sickleceloregon.org for information about sickle cell anemia. But as I go, even in my undergrad in college, I had a great undergraduate experience, but I also had an academic advisor who was like, oh, you'll never graduate with a degree in business. I had people who were, at the time I was playing football, and I had some delusions of grandeur, so to speak. Not that I just, and it wasn't even like I wanted to go to the NFL, like I had this long NFL career. My honest goal was to just get to a camp and get cut. I didn't want to actually play football. Like, football hurts. and I'm an all natural guy. I didn't take the shots or the painkillers and things like that. So I felt practice. Like, practice sucks. Like, we were like, oh, do you miss it? No, I don't. It hurts. Don't miss it at all. Love watching it, hated playing it. But even in that, there are folks like, oh, business? Oh, that's too hard. Why don't you take this? Why don't you get this general studies degree or this no. But there's so many times folks like that are pushed into these other areas because they say, well, that's not for you, or for people like you aren't in there. But when you think about, one, how many cool jobs are available, how many cool things are going on. And one thing I'll throw at you, for a bit of time, I was teaching finance at Concordia University of Portland before it closed. And didn't get anybody excited about the finance class. But I taught another class, which was sports finance. And all the athletes were in that particular class because they were in sports management. Oh, they were excited about that class. And we would celebrate, July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day. Have you heard about that?
No, I have not.
Bobby Bonilla Day. Bobby Bonilla was a baseball player for the Mets, and he had signed this contract where they wanted to defer the compensation, and so instead of just paying him his salary, they're paying him like $1.1 million for like 30 years or something like that. Now, the idea behind it was they were at the time investing that salary with Bernie Madoff. And so they were bringing 20% a year while they were paying him 8%. So they're like, great, we're making 12% off the spread. We're making money off him deferring his contract. Well, lo and behold, they end up going bankrupt because Madoff was a Ponzi scheme and so on and so forth. But every year, the team, even after they sold the team and stuff, they still have to pay him every July 1st, $1.1 million until like 2032 or something like that. So every year we kind of joke about every July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day. And on Sports Center, they always have something, and all about sports finance folks, we kind of get a little chuckle and text each other and say happy Bobby Bonilla Day. It wasn't like he was in the Hall of Fame or like this great player or something like that, but it was just one of the coolest contracts in sports.
Boy, he's good at finance. I'm gonna have to call you up when I'm renegotiating my contract with the provost and
we'll
see what we could
talk
do
about that. But those are the kind of things that got them excited. You talked about trying to do things to get kids excited. We would actually look up one of the big things that's happened around kind of data that's made data kind of cool, because data wasn't always cool. It was kind of always, if you ever watch, the cop shows or the other popular culture things, the data person was always the geeky person. There was a person that wore glasses like you and I, and they would, they would be the person, they tap a couple things on the computer and something would come up, and then the renegade cop would go kick down the door and whatever. But there was never, the main character was never the data person. That was always the geeky person. But with sports, now sports analytics has become a thing. And with that, you've seen the Sloan Sports Conference out at MIT, and that has kind of mainstreamed kind of the sports analytics. The book Moneyball that came out about the Oakland A's and the movie that came out later, really put sports analytics up on the thing. The Golden State Warriors being popular now, everybody in the NBA shoots threes, and baseball, everybody now that hits a home run or strikes out because of analytics, and people go for it on fourth down in football. We have really seen how data has impacted sports, and now especially with fantasy football and those things, people are really into data and analytics. Sports gambling is becoming big, and I always think it's a really cool thing for folks who want to see some what I call the more cooler aspects of data. Just feel free to look up this Google the MIT Sloan Conference, and you can see some cool things that are introduced there. They have really cool research papers that folks have published there, talking about using AI for baseball predictions, looking at how to model the draft to pick a better player, using Chomsky's correlations for building better lineups. I mean, it's like it's cool because it's like the geek meets the cool piece.
So there's been a transition, right? And part of it is seeing more geeks and nerds in starring roles in movies and TV and stuff like that. Part of it is that folks who people look up to and idolize, so in sports, are using it to get an advantage, right? So I think that's a big piece. I want to push back though for a minute, because one of the things that is really important to me is also getting more females into this field. And I agree, right? Sports has been really positive at attracting kind of more men, and even those who aren't traditionally attracted to a field like this. What at your organization, what kinds of things are you finding are attracting the women to this sort of field? And maybe it's sports also, but I'm curious about your answer.
Sports has helped with some of that, but you are right, because oftentimes when we do talk sports, especially when it comes down to professional sports, there's this kind of good old boy network. One thing I did appreciate about what I do like about the Sloan Conference in particular, just because that's kind of the more popular one. It's kind of like it's kind of like the Met Gala for data science. I kind of like kind of like where the cool people kind of go hang out. And so what I do appreciate about them is that they feature women prominently, and you're seeing more women are in positions of power in professional organizations. So for example, they had Rennie Anderson, who's the Chief Revenue Officer and Executive Vice President for NFL Partnerships there. Sue Bird was there.
Yeah.
Kristen Burnett, the Executive Vice President of MSG Sports, was there. There's a Chief Revenue Officer for the Philadelphia Eagles. And you're seeing, one thing that's really cool is that you're seeing with data analytics that there are more women who are getting opportunities in sports organizations who may have the kind of the machismo, you had to play football, you had to be in this sport in order to work in the office. That's not the case at all. And you're seeing that more opportunities are coming with data analytics. As far as how we're getting females involved, one, there's a lot of really cool partnerships with organizations like iUrban Teen, with Girl Code, Girls Who Code, different things like that, to look at different ways of getting folks involved. What I also think has really helped with having females involved in particular, females, non-binary, and LGBT, of course, is really taking a look at one, what you talked about, power, and how we can look at dismantling some traditional power structures that might have been there, but using data to communicate how those power structures are impacting their community. So
Yeah.
one of the things that we did with our youth is we asked them to do some projects on how STEM can impact their community. And what in particular was really what I really enjoyed about the female presentations. One is that they were very creative, and two, they were really able to express and communicate not only what the issues were in the community, but how those impacted their lives in a way that some of the male students were still kind of struggling with on some of those occasions, to be honest. But we're seeing from and what we're trying to do from our organizations is how do we make sure these folks have a voice? How are they expressing that? And how do we make sure that we're connecting them with people to let them move forward in that voice? And
So I'm seeing something similar, and I haven't had enough students come through my programs to see it as a trend yet. But I can say we are very proud of the fact that our master's program is at least 50% those who identify as female. And it has been for the last couple of years, and we hope to kind of continue that trend. Computer science is still, I think, a little too much of a boys' club, and there's work to do there for certain. But data science is broader. You can enter later, and is I think a bit more welcoming, partially because it's a bit newer, and so the power structures are yet to be established in many cases in those areas. I want to highlight two females that just graduated from my master's class. One, they're going to hate me for calling them out, but that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with calling them out. As a matter of fact, when you do call them out, feel free to shoot them an email and tell them that we would love to talk to them, and either they can come on the podcast or we can highlight them in one of our videos, because we do highlights of professionals in STEM, and
right.
we would have no problem highlighting.
So I want you to get both of these lovely young women on your podcast. The first is Colleen Smythe. She's a mathematics teacher at Portland Public Schools. Okay. And she just went through our master's program, and she did a machine learning model to predict high school graduation, right? So she's in there, and she's really messing things up at Portland Public Schools, because everything they got currently is not working very well. Okay. And the model that she created, right, in my program, outperforms anything that public Portland schools is currently doing at predicting graduation of current students at each level, right? So it basically says, if you're a freshman, here are the interventions that you need, to make sure these students graduate. If they're a sophomore, here are the interventions that you need, right, to make sure these students graduate. Absolutely amazing work. She was certainly one of the stars of the show when she presented her work to kind of a panel of industry experts as well. So get her on your show. She's really good in at public speaking as well, and so I would love to see her. The other is Heather Rugnetta, who did a really kind of nice in-depth visualization of food charity donations affected by COVID in Clackamas County. And so she's got this cool like heat map, and you can dive in, it's interactive, and you can look at where people stepped up and where people didn't step up to help out that charity in Clackamas County. And I'm embarrassed to say, but you probably already know, my little neighborhood over in Lake Oswego was not donating much to the Clackamas charity,
Okay,
despite the fact.
So we know they can expect a large donation from the Watts family coming here very soon. We will.
I'm gonna make up for it.
We'll put them on alert right now. So Clackamas County, if you don't any of the nonprofits, if you don't receive a food basket or a large check from the Watts family, make sure you contact In the Numbers Podcast. We will have the expose live and online right here at the In the Numbers Podcast.
The great thing about my donation is that Jarvez has said that he will match any amount that.
We can hold on for just one moment right there. We have to do a quick sponsor read. This episode of the In the Numbers Podcast is sponsored by the East Metro STEAM Partnership, who has their bi-monthly partner meeting coming up Wednesday, October 6th. Feel free to visit the website at eastmetrosteam.org and learn more about how you can help to provide students and families with equitable access to STEM and STEAM learning opportunities, which help lead to a skilled workforce. Again, that website is eastmetrosteam.org. Feel free to click on the Join Us button or the calendar to learn more about our initiatives and to RSVP for the partner meeting on Wednesday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Yeah, sometimes you have to go to commercial when people start talking about matching donations and other things like that. Definitely, I'll be looking forward to you to make those introductions. I would love to have them on the podcast and talk about their work. I think it's exciting. I would love one thing why I wanted you on the podcast is because I think this work is fantastic, and I would love to introduce our folks in East County who may not have heard about it, who may not know about this as an area both that they can go into, and as well as some of our educators to know that they might want to think about doing this. Many of them already have MATs, but to think about adding a data element, not just for what they're going to be teaching in the classroom, but for their work that they may be looking at if they want to be a principal or an educator, I forgot the actual term that they use for the administrator. And that's what I think a lot of teachers often struggle with when they're looking at getting administrative positions is, a lot of them have been spent years in the classroom working with kids and students. They understand that element. But when you're an administrator, now you're working with other folks. And I think you're understanding this now that you're a big wig over there at Willamette. Now you're, let me make sure I get the title right, the executive director and chair of computing and data science programs, as well as associate professor of marketing and data science. Now that you're not just in the classroom, now you get to go deal with the other stuff. You get to go deal with budgets and class sizes and whether or not to keep a class or not keep a class, or make that class be at the Portland campus or should that class be in Salem, and thinking about this online or not. Like you have to make decisions now, and a lot of those decisions are based in data. And of course, you teach it, so of course it comes second nature to you. But for some of our educators, who might be thinking about considering a job in administration, it would really help them to really dive a little deeper into the analytics and learn more about data science as part of their career futures.
And I would say that also for folks who are interested in dipping their toe in the water, especially folks who are maybe mid-career and they're looking for the next step up. Our master's program is a year long, but it is in the evenings and it is in Portland. So you can do this program while working full time or while looking for a job full time. However, we also have a shortened version of the program, which is only 4 courses. And these are full semester long graduate courses, and so it's not a walk in the park. It's still rigorous, but it's a slightly dialed back version of the master's. So it's a 4-course certificate program, and it kind of gets you to that level where you're comfortable with all the basics of data science, and you can use them in the skills in your day-to-day life, and maybe level up a little bit at your career. So those are definitely options at the graduate level that would work for working professionals, administrators, those sorts of things.
Okay, there's not going to be any access classes, right?
In what way?
There's no classes on access. Are you working in access?
Oh God, no. You mean Microsoft Access?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Because boy, man, I was like, wait, I might check out a couple of classes or two. But if I got to deal with access, then I don't know if I want to mess with it.
No Microsoft Access. No Excel.
I always joke with I always joke with I believe it wasn't Hand. It was who was the other professor that was there, who I think he left though. Wasn't Hand, tall guy. Not Will Bank. Not the accounting.
He was a quantitative guy?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Was it Gurmeet Singh? No,
it wasn't Singh. I can't remember, but one summer he had it was a technology class. He was like, yeah, I need people to come into it. It's not going to be any programming. And then like half the class was programming. I was like, you got me in the coding and I didn't want to do it. And I was like, you gonna sneak me into the Microsoft Access, even though I didn't want to mess.
There's a back door. There's a back door. I've got an amazing set of faculty right now at the undergraduate level, and they are figuring out all kinds of interesting ways of getting people involved in data, and getting them even programming a little bit before they know it. And you got to get a taste, right? And once you get a taste,
yeah,
you get that power, and you can then go from there.
No, it's definitely good to get a taste of it. And we want our East County students to get a taste of it. We definitely want our East County teachers to get a taste of it, our administrators. Then hopefully in your next cohorts that come out, you get a few folks from East County. And if you want to know more information about this, all you have to do is go to willamette.edu / and then just type in computer, and the first thing that will come up is the computer and data science area. It is a really cool website. It's really cool. I'm excited about how you did how you all did your video on this. I was like, this is really nice. This makes me almost want to go there. It talks about the undergraduate degree in data science, the undergraduate degree in computer science, the accelerated degrees, where you can do a 3+1, which is kind of cool, where you can get your data science bachelor's and master's in 4 years, which I think is really cool. And it also talks about the graduate certificates in data science as well. So there's some really cool information there. You can find out more information about the program. There's a Portland campus and a Salem campus, so there's opportunities for things in both of those. And you can find really cool stuff about the faculty and everything else right there on the website. So I recommend you go there. Again, that's willamette.edu / computer data science, and it'll take you right there. And and if you click on faculty, you'll see a really cool picture of Dr. Watts right on there, which is actually kind of cool, and get his whole full bio with his email. He's hanging out at Ford Hall 205. You can go by and see him, especially for those nonprofits that are looking for that donation that the Watts family is supposed to give. That's right where he's located. You can shoot him an email. And if you want to get him talking, just ask him anything about blockchain, and you'll get him going for a good few hours there. We didn't even get to blockchain in this conversation.
I'm going to keep that photo on the website for the next 15 years, and we'll see.
And hopefully, at one point, you'll tell me what you're looking at, because something is going on. He's looking at something.
There's something important in the distance. You know what I mean? Like there's something just really intense going on right outside of view of the camera.
Yeah, Bill, one thing I just wanted to shout to you also, and I hope the university is doing more of this as well. I had been in talks kind of over the summer with some folks at Atkinson, the MBA program, really about the diversity piece, and some folks had asked me about my experience in the college, and I was quite honest with them about that, and the fact that there weren't at the time. I think I was one of 2 Black students in the entire program. There weren't Black faculty. There weren't many other faculty of color at that time. We didn't talk about diversity other than the one part of an HR class where we talked about, hey, you might get sued if you asked about a protected class during an interview type of thing. But there really wasn't that commitment to it. It seems that the university has moved a little bit forward in that regard the last couple of years. That is my hope. You're there a little bit deeper than me to talk, can address that piece. But I'm hoping, and why I engage with Willamette as well as other private schools like Lewis and Clark and others, is because I don't want to just put the onus on the public schools, on Portland State, on the community colleges, PCC, Temecula, Lynn Benton, Oregon State. Like, yes, they have roles to play, but I also don't want to absolve our private schools of that, because I want our young people to have access to those as well, even if they don't have, $50,000 a year to go, to find ways, can we make sure that that private school education is accessible to folks of color and low income?
Yes, I want East Metro students applying to Willamette. Apply. We need you, right? And look, frankly, it sucks, right? Like diversity is a hard thing to fix. And one of the ways that we can solve it is by having just more people who may be afraid that private school education isn't for them, taking a chance and at least applying, and see what the school can give you, see what's on offer, I guess what I can promise from my end is that, we will have on-ramps, we will have ways for folks to feel comfortable and to get involved, especially in data science and computer science, because that's what I have control over. Let's go fix a couple of things, give people some power, and then let them change the world.
Well, there we go. Well, that's a great way to wrap it up. I want to thank Dr. Watts for being with us today. I want to thank him for helping us with our great number of the day, which we said was 120,339. And we are excited to have data science really be on the forefront of this year. And what we're going to commit to over at East Metros, we're going to have some type of data science competition for our students. And we hope that Dr. Watts and the Willamette program will come and be a part of that in some way. We want to get kids excited about it. So we'll be
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be involved, and I know you, threw all my contact info up there, but I want to double down on that and say anyone who wants to uh, hop on the phone or shoot me an email, you're more than welcome. I'm happy to make myself available.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Give Dr. Watts a big round of applause. Like I said, we're likely to have him back if we get into our blockchain conversation. We did talk about NFTs or anything like that, but we'll bring him on again to talk about that, and we'll bring in some of the students. And hopefully, maybe we'll do a thing where once a year we can feature one of the projects from one of the students at Willamette over on the podcast. So that's been the In the Numbers podcast. I am your host, Jarvis Hall, of the East Metro STEAM Partnership. And we thank you very much for being with us today, for joining us for our first season where we're doing a video podcast as a piece of this. Feel free to check it out on our YouTube channel. Feel free to visit us at eastmetrosteam.org and make sure to always stay in the numbers.